Hello, my name is Memo. This is my channel, FancyMemo. Welcome back to my channel. And today I have a very special video for you guys because today I am going over my top 25 artists of all time. Keep in mind, this is a very subjective list. When we talk about music in general, it's always going to be subjective. Alright, there's no objectivity in arts. It's always subjective, but this one is especially subjective because I chose these 25 artists based off of how much they have influenced my music taste throughout my entire life. And you guys might be wondering, why am I making this video? It seems kind of random, doesn't it? The reason why I'm making this video is because although today is not September 8th, I'm planning on uploading this video on September 8th, which is important because it is my birthday and I am turning 25 years old, so that is why I'm making this video. And it's also kind of nice talking about what helped me become such a big music fan, what got me into certain genres. You might learn a lot about me, and it was fun trying to make this list. It was kind of difficult too, trying to come up with 25 significant artists that impacted me, but I think these 25 are cool, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about them with you guys right now. But before I do that, if you like music related content like this, please subscribe if you haven't. And if you have and you want more of this for some reason, check out my Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. But yeah, let's get started. I made this list in alphabetical order. I was gonna rank them from 25 to number 1, but it's so hard to rank these artists because some of them I don't really listen to anymore, but I know they've impacted me a lot. Some of them I listen to a lot, but I just got into their music, so it's hard to rank all of them. So that's why I'm going alphabetical order. And the first artist that I will talk about is A Tribe Called Quest. The reason why A Tribe Called Quest is in my list is because they are my favorite hip-hop group of all time. There has been many incredible hip-hop groups throughout the history of hip-hop, throughout the 50-year history, and I think A Tribe Called Quest is the very best. I think you can't outdo what Q-Tip, 5 Dog, and the gang have done. They have classic albums that I would consider perfect or near perfect, like The Low End Theory, Midsummer Marauder, Thank You For Your Service. The production is great, mix of boom bap and jazz rap. 5 Dog, Q-Tip especially are some of my favorite rappers of all time, and Q-Tip is an incredible producer as well. But shout out Ali, shout out Jarobi. They're all great. I love their music so much. You know, when you go into a Tribe album, you will always get the most quality album out there. It's always a good time. It's relaxing. It could be political. This is like high IQ music. They're amazing. That's why they're on my list. The next person I'm going to talk about is Anderson .Paak. Anderson .Paak is easily one of my favorite artists right now. I genuinely think he's one of the most talented people out now, and he is truly a generational artist for me. I feel like he should be talked about up there with the Stevie Wonders of the world, with the Princes of the world, based off how talented this man is and how quality his music is. Even though he has mainstream numbers, he does not sacrifice the quality within his music. I feel like most of his albums are near perfect. Whether he's singing, whether he's rapping, he gives it his all. He has such a unique voice. He is a talented drummer as well. The stuff he does with Silk Sonic, with No Worries, is timeless. And of course his soul stuff is what made me a huge fan of his. Although he is mainstream now, especially after Silk Sonic, I feel like he does not get the love that he truly deserves. He is one of those few artists where I feel like anybody could be a fan. Whether you're a kid, whether you're like my age, a teenager, if you're old, I think you will love Anderson .Paak. Maybe not as much as I do, but he is truly a generational artist in my opinion, so that's why he's on my list. The third act that I will be talking about is Black Country New Road. They're a newer rock band that I am currently obsessed with. So much so, I actually just saw them live like last week. It was really cool to see them. I especially love watching them work because they're so talented as a band. Although they're a newer band, I had to put them on the list because how quickly they've impacted my listenership. You know, I am very big on hip-hop and I guess pop, and although I've had my phases of rock music, I think Black Country New Road has helped me fall in love with rock music again, and I think they've had incredible timeless music already. They're just getting started, but I think Ants From Up There is the best album of the decade so far, and they've had other great albums as well, but Ants From Up There is easily one of my favorite albums of all time. Unfortunately, Isaac Woods is no longer in the band, but they're still making great music. I think the band truly stepped up after he left they're still making incredible music, and I can't wait to see what they do moving forward. But yeah, the emotion, the passion that you can listen through your earphones while listening to this band is undeniably incredible. This is a band that I will be listening to for a long time, a band that I will be telling my kids in the future, my grandkids in the future. They're one of a kind. I love them a lot. Alright, next act is Brockhampton, believe it or not. I have the, I guess, controversial opinion that Brockhampton is like a top 5 rap group of all time. But can you blame me? They've made a lot of great music together in such a short time span. From 2017 to 2022, they've made bangers after bangers after bangers. One of the most consistent discographies in all of rap music. Not just rap groups, but all of hip-hop. I don't think they get as much credit as they deserve in that front. I love listening to them during the summer while driving. I started listening to them when I started college, so listening to them on my way to college is like a nice memory that I have with this boy band. And although it sucks that they have dismantled, they're no longer together, I can't wait to see what they all do individually. What Don will do, Joba, Kevin, Matt, Bareface, all of them, Merlin, Jabari. Different generations had NWA, they have had Wu-Tang Clan, more recently Odd Future. These are the types of hip-hop groups that have had a huge impact on people, and that's what Brockhampton did to me. Listening to them during their prime, when they're actually making music, was a special experience for me that I will never forget. The 5th artist that I will talk about is Childish Gambino. I credit him and another rapper that I will talk about later for helping me become such a big music nerd, because when Awaken My Love dropped, I don't know what gravitated me towards that album, because back then I wasn't really listening to albums, but something gravitated me towards it. I gave it a listen and I couldn't stop listening to it for a long time. It was like the only album I listened to for a while. I think that's Gambino's best work, but he's had other amazing projects like Because of Internet. 3:15:20, I believe, is a very underrated album. It's so good. It's incredible. When that came out, I couldn't stop listening to it. And yeah, I think he's one of the best rapper slash singers out there. He is very creative inside of music and out. Again, I credit him for helping me become such a big music nerd, so he had to be on my list. The 6th artist I will be talking about is Danny Brown. Danny Brown is responsible for some of my favorite music of all time, some of my favorite songs and albums of all time. When it comes to his best work, Atrocity Exhibition, I do think that is one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. I named it my 2nd favorite album of the 2010s. That's how amazing that piece of work is. I love how Danny Brown can not only be funny, energetic, wild on a track, but as he proved on Atrocity Exhibition, he could be very vulnerable. He could talk about some serious topics that I'm sure helps a lot of people. I do not relate to what he talks about when it comes to drug abuse and how it can cause a downward spiral, but it does make me emotional thinking about how people can get addicted and almost ruin their lives, or actually do ruin their lives due to drugs or alcohol or partying so much. And the way he describes it is jaw-dropping, is heart-wrenching. And what's crazy is apparently his new album, I forgot what it's called, like Quadruple X Kantara, something like that. It's supposed to be his most vulnerable album, which how can you be more vulnerable than Atrocity Exhibition? I'm gonna make sure I got the tissues ready for that listen. But yeah, Danny Brown, one of a kind artist. I love his voice. Some people might not like it, but I love it a lot. And yeah, his music has a special place in my heart, so he had to be on the list. Denzel Curry is the 7th artist that I will be talking about. The biggest reason why he's on my list is because I think he has one of the greatest discographies out there, and definitely one of the most underrated. You know, a lot of people talk about the top 3 of hip-hop: Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole. And although I do think Kendrick deserves that spot, Denzel Curry has been making better music than J. Cole and Drake for a long time. And he's been more consistent, higher quality albums. Whether it's Taboo, Unlocked, My I See Your Future, he always goes into a new project with so much energy and passion. I think he's an incredible rapper who deserves more love. Even though he is a fan favorite, I still believe he deserves more respect. Number 8 is an interesting one. I have Dr. Dre in my list. I felt like I needed to add a producer that had a significant impact on me. And at first I was going to put Madlib, who is probably my favorite producer, who's helped produce albums I love like Bandana, Pinata, Mad Villainy. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that Dr. Dre has had his hands on some of the most impactful artists in my life, whether that's Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. He's done stuff with Anderson .Paak as well, and plus I do listen to his solo stuff more than Madlib's solo stuff, so I think that's why he got the edge over Madlib. Come on, The Chronic is a classic. I love 2001. He has some great singles, great albums. He was part of NWA. His work as a producer is almost untouched. That is why he's on my list. The ninth artist I will be talking about is someone that you might not expect, but you know, growing up, you might not love your parents' music taste, but there's always that one artist, one or two artists that you listen to and you're like, yeah, this person's really good. And for me, that's Elton John. My mom is a huge Elton John fan. I grew up listening to a lot of soft rock from the 70s, 80s, 90s because of my mom. One person that I've loved the most from those car rides to school with my mom is Elton John. I think his voice is incredible. His songwriting is immaculate. The piano is such a beautiful instrument, and he's one of the best to ever do it on that instrument. Seeing him live with my mom was such a beautiful moment for us on his final leg at Dodger Stadium. Like, what else can you ask for? Come on. Yeah, he's one of my favorite singers of all time. I love listening to him. He had to be on the list. Number 10, I mentioned him already, but it's Eminem. Eminem is on my list. Although, yeah, his discography isn't consistent, especially on the later half of his career. I can't lie, he was my favorite rapper for the longest time. He is the one that got me into hip-hop in general. Yeah, I listened to other artists, but he is like the main guy that I listened to back in middle school and especially high school. And yeah, again, might not be the most consistent guy, but his classics are classics for a reason. He has some great albums I would consider perfect. He has so many songs that I would consider perfect, whether it's like Stan, The Way I Am, My Name Is. He has amazing singles, amazing songs, and although I don't listen to him much anymore, every time I do go back and listen to his older stuff, I feel nostalgic. I feel like a teenager again, falling back in love with hip-hop. He is one of the best rappers to ever do it on a technical standpoint, on a lyrical standpoint. He's a good producer as well. Although you could give him a lot of slack for what he's done music-wise, you will always have a special place in my heart for helping me fall in love with the beautiful genre of hip-hop. Next artist that I will be talking about is Frank Ocean. The man can't miss. He also can't drop an album, but with the small discography he has, he's already made some of the best music of all time, in my opinion. Whether that's Channel Orange or I think his best album, an album that I consider perfect, Blonde. There's always quality within the work that he makes, and although we might never ever get another Frank Ocean album ever again, the small discography he's had already makes him one of my favorite artists of all time. I think Frank is a special artist who can sing, who can touch you and make you bring out some emotions you might not want to bring out, but he does it in a way where you can't just accept it and just let it all out. The 12th artist I am going to talk about is Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs is an incredible rapper. He is so good at what he does. He is great lyrically and on a technical standpoint as well. His albums are so good, whether it is Soul Sold Separately, Bandana, Piñata, the one with the Alchemist, the Noodles one, the Noodles, Alfredo. He raps so well. It seems effortless for him. And yeah, he's just a great rapper. That's why he's on my list. And a great performer. I've seen him live too. He's so funny. Very entertaining on stage. The next act on my list, for number 13, I have Gorillaz, who I've talked about before. I've said before that they are my favorite band of all time, and they still are. They're so unique. They have several albums I would consider perfect or near perfect. They always do something new. They're so creative, so unique, so quirky. I love 2D's vocals, and yeah, by far my favorite concert experience was going to see them at the YouTube Theater. I am so glad I was able to do that, because that is a memory that I will never forget. And they are a special band. They are my favorite band for a reason. They just make quality music, impactful music, timeless music. This is another band that I will be telling my future kids about. And especially since the albums have such deep meaning, especially with Classic Beach and Demon Days, I think they are very important in the landscape of music. And without them, music would be boring, a lot more boring than it is now. My favorite band of all time, they kind of have to be on the list. Number 14 is a very special rap group for me. Not a lot of people might have them on their top 25 favorite artist lists, but I felt like I had to because of how much they've impacted me during their run, and that is Injury Reserve. Richie with a T, Grox, Parker. Within their small run, they've had a huge impact on how I listen to music. They've had a huge impact on me, basically because I've never heard music like theirs before. They're so unique. They're on their own lane, and although their run has been cut short due to Grog's passing, rest in peace Grog's, their discography is basically perfect, and their impact will last a long time in my opinion. I'm excited for what Richie and Parker are gonna do next, and although I will miss Injury Reserve and what they've done, I will cherish their music forever. Plus, let me say, Floss is like the best mixtape of all time. Controversial opinion maybe, but I truly think Floss is the greatest mixtape of all time. So I had to put that out there. I have a lot of respect for Injury Reserve. They're incredible. One of the best rap groups of all time. Now, another artist that has impacted the way I listen to music is JPEGMAFIA, the 15th artist I'm going to talk about. JPEGMAFIA helped me expand what hip-hop is to me, if that makes any sense. Because when Veteran came out, I didn't know hip-hop could sound like that. But the more I listened to that album, the more I fall in love with the album, with JPEGMAFIA and his production, with experimental hip-hop music. Again, I didn't know hip-hop could sound like that. And now it's like my favorite subgenre. I can't get enough of it. There's no one that can do it like Peggy. He is a one-of-a-kind artist. He's already have had such an influential career. He's also a great performer. I've seen him live. The way he just screams on the mic is so entertaining. That man's amazing. So yeah, he's on my list. I will be talking about Cali Uchis. Cali Uchis is one of my favorite singers right now. I think she's beautiful and has a beautiful voice. I love how different each of her albums are, yet they're so great. Whether she's singing in English or Spanish, she always kills it. Her feature game is also amazing, especially when she works with Tyler the Creator. I think they're a match made in heaven. Cali's awesome. I love her a lot. I was thinking about adding different female singers onto my list, but I think Cali Uchis is the one I listen to the most, so that's why she's on my list. I will be talking about my favorite artist of all time, even though I don't like to admit it anymore. His music hasn't aged horribly for me as much as other people, but it's Kanye West. Kanye is my favorite artist of all time. I think his discography is basically perfect, and he has a long, big discography as well, so it's actually very impressive how well he's maintained such an incredible discography, even though he started his career like in the 2000s, I think early 2000s. Every album of his is different, and it gives you a different reason to listen to him. He has several classics under his belt, several perfect albums under his belt, and although I do not condone anything that he's said outside of his music, whether it's about black people, whether it's about Jewish people, when it comes to music, I think he's untouchable. So although he's not the best person, unfortunately, he is an artist that I will always go back to just because of the amount of variety his discography consists of, the amount of classics his discography consists of. There's an album, a song, perfect for any occasion. When I graduated, I was bumping Graduation. When I was in my fields, I was bumping 808s. When I just want to be happy and feel good in life, I listen to The Life of Pablo. Late Registration is one of my favorite albums of all time, so I always go back to it and enjoy the young, introspective Kanye that made that album. Not the best person, but I can't deny how incredible his music is and how much it has impacted me and my listenership throughout my life. Next person that's on my list is Kendrick Lamar, probably the greatest rapper to ever do it, but especially during this last decade, I think he's the best that has ever done it. He has an incredible discography. He's made one of my favorite albums of all time, which is To Pimp a Butterfly. All of his work is great, whether it's Damn, whether it's Good Kid, Mad City. I love Mr. Morale and The Big Steppers. I probably love that more than most people. Like how I talked about Anderson .Paak, I think Kendrick is a generational artists, up there with the Michael Jacksons of the world, up there with the Jimi Hendrix of the world. I think for his lane, I think Kendrick is up there. He makes timeless music, high quality music, and yet it's still mainstream. He does not sacrifice quality within his music. He always goes out, delivers one of the greatest pieces of arts you'll ever be able to listen to, and it will always sound fire. It always is. There's not many other rappers that are as consistent as Kendrick. The 19th artist I will be talking about is Little Simps, my favorite female rapper, my favorite rapper from the UK, and one of my favorite rappers in general. I think what she does is impeccable. I think she is one of the many examples of how great women are in rap music. She's just my favorite female rapper, but there's a lot of great female rappers that have done their thing throughout the years, and I think she's a perfect example of how amazing women in hip-hop are. Her discography is beautiful. It's elegant, especially with the works like Sometimes I Might Be Introverted, which is very grand and epic. She talks about so many vulnerable subjects, being black, being a woman, her family. I love what she's doing. I hope she continues doing what she's doing for a very, very long time. She deserves the best. Next artist I will be talking about is the 20th artist, and that is MF Doom, the villain. You know, his discography is absolutely perfect. He has several classics, several 10 out of 10 albums, in my opinion. Whether that's Mad Villainy, whether that's Food. Yeah, he might be like a lyrical miracle rapper, but he does it in such a way that nobody could replicate. His production as well is impeccable. It's a very underrated part of his skill set. I think because his rapping is so elite that not a lot of people talk about his production, but it's also pretty elite. Like, I haven't been able to stop listening to Lavender Buds all week because of how great the production is on that song. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when Doom died, when I found out he died, I was in shambles. Like, I remember where I was when I found out he died. I remember I couldn't stop listening to Doom basically for a whole week, and it's sad to see him go. It's sad to hear about how he went, but I'm glad that people recognize his talent and are giving him a lot of love after he's passed. But yeah, Doom is one of my favorite rappers of all time. He truly is. I love him a lot. Rest in peace, Doom. Safe travels, villain. Number 21. This artist I feel like I would consider my first ever favorite artist, and that is Michael Jackson. Kind of a funny story. You know, I was a young kid when I heard about Michael Jackson for the first time, and actually the first time I heard about him was when he died. He died on my sister's birthday. It was all over the news, and I was a dumb kid. Okay, I'll admit that right now. So when my mom asked me if I knew who Michael Jackson was, I was like, the guy from Space Jam? That's Michael Jordan, not Michael Jackson. That's a funny memory I've had. Just the way that I was introduced to Michael Jackson was when he died on my sister's birthday, and I confused him with Michael Jordan. Ever since that day, my parents put me on to Michael Jackson. You're so stupid. This is Michael Jackson. Listen to this. And when I listened to it, I fell in love immediately. This man has so many classics, so many hits. Nobody can beat him in a hit battle. This man has hits and has more hits than anybody to ever exist. And I remember that after his death, no matter where I went, everybody was playing Michael Jackson. Whether it was here in California or in Guatemala, people love this man. To this day, I go to Guatemala and I hear his music being bumped outside. This man has been dead for a while, but he has timeless music that nobody will forget about, that I will cherish forever, and many others will as well. So yeah, I kind of had to put him on the list. Like, come on, it's Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Number 22 goes to Nirvana. I had a Nirvana phase, as many people do in high school, but yeah, Nirvana helped me get into grunge music, of course, but generally speaking, they helped me get into rock music in high school. I love Kurt Cobain's voice. He is one of my favorite singers. Rest in peace, Kurt. Their songs are great. I love how aggressive they can be, but they always implement some kind of beauty within their music, if you get what I'm saying. It could be very sonically pleasing, even though half the time Kurt is screaming into the mic and the instrumentals are just like clashing in your ears. I credit them for getting me into rock music. I definitely need to listen to more rock music. They opened the door for me and let me experience something new and help me fall in love with something new. So that's why they're on my list. I almost forgot about them, actually. They were almost not on my list. You know who almost made the list? I don't want to admit this, but the Black Eyed Peas almost made the list just because I had an obsession with them in elementary school. I had a huge obsession with them, and I do think they make cool music. Not the best music, but I was too embarrassed to put them on my list. But they did impact my listenership very early on when I was a kid. So shout out to Black Eyed Peas, I guess. Okay, number 23. The 23rd artist I will be talking about is Run the Jewels, my favorite rap duo of all time, which is probably a very controversial opinion since Outkast exists, but to me, Run the Jewels are the best. They only have 4 albums together, but all 4 albums are high quality albums. Killer Mike has one of my favorite voices of all time. LP is one of my favorite producers of all time. The Run the Jewels series are all bangers. They're all filled with bangers. They're hyped, they're aggressive, they're angry, they could be political. Their music is great, but of course, if you know the history of my channel, you would know that when I dropped my reaction video to Run the Jewels 4, LP from Run the Jewels loved the video a lot, shouted me out, asked people to subscribe to me. Although I might have not took advantage of the success that that video had, it still meant a lot to me that one of my favorite rappers of all time loved what I did and shouted me out, even put me in one of the promotional videos, taking clips from my video and putting it there. That meant a lot to me. Again, it helped boost my channel, but I honestly don't care about that part. Just knowing that an artist that I love listening to loved the work that I've done is an incredible feeling that I will never stop bragging about. So yeah, shout out Run the Jewels, but especially LP. Okay, we're getting close to the end. The 24th artist I will be talking about is System of a Down. I had a huge System of a Down phase in high school, and I listened to a lot of their music. They have so many great songs and albums that are timeless in my opinion. They don't miss. They're very aggressive, but the message is always pure. Surge is one of my favorite frontmen on any band, and every time I go back to one of their songs, I always have a great time, even though it could be like the most depressing topic ever or something very politically charged. It's always a fun time listening to System of a Down. I love their music a lot. That's why they're on the list. We made it to the final artist that I will be talking about, number 25, and that is Tyler the Creator. Now, remember when I said Childish Gambino helped me become a huge music fan? Well, Tyler did the same thing. In fact, I think he did even more, because when Flower Boy came out, I remember listening to See You Again for the first time. I really liked it, so I decided to check out Flower Boy. That album helped me fall in love with music. It truly did. It helped me become the music nerd that I am. It made me become very passionate about music and exploring new music. I think that album has helped me a lot in ways that I probably don't even know. Every time I listen to Flower Boy, I remind myself how I basically fell in love with music every time I listen to that album. And ever since Flower Boy, he just has not missed. He created Igor, one of my favorite albums of all time. Call Me If You Get Lost is another great piece of work. Tyler the Creator has matured a lot throughout the years, has created a lot of impactful music throughout the years. I can't help but become a fan. He's truly one of my favorite artists of all time. He has a lot of music that is perfect for any occasion. I think his discography is very underrated. This man has not missed recently. Yeah, he's simply just very talented, whether it's singing, producing, rapping, within the fashion world. He's very funny. Tyler the Creator can do it all. I do believe he is responsible for my love of music, and I can't thank him enough for it. But yeah, that's all 25 artists. Man, I've been yapping a lot. Do I have a degree in Japanese? What the hell? I've been recording for over 50 minutes. Oh my god. That was a lot of artists to go through. If you guys made it this far, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I know this is a very specific video, maybe something that not everybody would gravitate towards, but if you made it this far, thank you. I truly mean it. That's it. That's my list. If you want to give me your top 5, top 10, top 25 favorite artists of all time, please do. I would love to read all about it. But yeah, I'm done. So thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, makes sense, right? Comment down below your favorite artists of all time. I would love to learn what helped you fall in love with music. If you like music related content like this, please subscribe, since that is what I do here. And if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check them out. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But yeah, I'm done here. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Goodbye.